Hello grade 12s, welcome back to another video. So in today's video we'll be doing the reasons and consequences for market failure. Thank you for tuning in. For those who are returning, thank you, and for those who are new, welcome. I hope you subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. And yeah, so let's get right into the video without wasting any of your time. So guys, in today's video we'll be doing reasons and consequences. So consequences are what happens after something has done. Okay, so the consequences, you have not been studying. That is the reason why you failed. And now the consequences of the failure is you repeating a grade. So you repeating a grade is the consequence. Okay. All right. So we have learned about different types of markets: the perfect market and the imperfect market. So those are the two types of markets that we have. And in imperfect market, that's where we have monopoly, monopolistic, and oligopoly, and so forth. Okay, so those are the markets that will fail, that any of those markets likely to fail. So when we refer to market failure, we refer to those type of markets. And let's look at like some of the key concepts with regards to consequences of reasons for and consequences for market failure. So you need to know what is allocation efficiency, Pareto efficiency, black market, cost benefit analysis, demerit goods, externalities, market failure, maximum price or the ceiling price. You need to know merit goods, minimum price, minimum wage, negative externalities, non-excludable goods, non-rivalry goods, positive externalities, private benefit, and so forth. So those are the concepts that you need to familiarize yourself with, so that when you answer the true or false questions, the choose one letter or the matching of two columns, and then you'll be able to match them because you understand your key concepts. So let's look at the market failure is when the forces of demand and supply fail to allocate resources effectively. So that's what a market failure is. It's when demand, the forces of demand is people having a need for a product, and supply is the business being able to meet the need. So when the forces of demand and supply fail to deliver goods effectively, market fail. Okay, demand, let's say there's a demand for toilet paper, and then businesses that manufacture toilet paper are unable to deliver the toilet paper. That will cause what? A failure in the market of toilet paper. Okay, or when there is no demand, when demand is not met. When demand is not met, then that can cause the market to fail as well. And then let's look, we need to know about externalities. Yes, externalities are costs or benefits to third parties which are not included in the market price of a good. So there are costs that are allocated with the production of a good that is being produced, but not directly. So those are like your indirect costs. Okay, so those are like your externalities. And the negative externalities are costs to a third party which is not included in a market price of a good. It is a difference between social costs and private costs, the harmful effect of a product, and pollution. So negative externalities are externalities that you pay. Let's say pollution. If a business is polluting the air, they are causing external negative external negative what is this they are negative externalities. Sorry, yes, they are causing negative externalities. So it's those negative externalities are those costs like you pay for the environment. It's a negative externality. It's nothing within the business, it's something outside the business, but it does affect the market. Okay, so that is a negative externality. Now, positive externalities is the benefit gained by a third party which is not included in the market price. So if the business is operating, the person who's a third party, maybe the consumer or whoever, can benefit from this business operating in that environment in which the person lives in. So let's look at the reasons for market failure. So there are many reasons for market failure, and number one reason for market failure is externalities. Externalities are one of the causes of market failure. What are externalities? As I have said, costs not included in pricing of goods or services, and consequently there is a difference between private costs, benefit, and social costs. Okay, so that is the cost that is not included in the pricing of a good or service. Let's say we are producing ice pop, yeah. So with that ice pop, we need water, we need concentrated juice, like a orange concentrate, and that will be diluted with the water. And then we need packaging, which is that plastic that they use to package it. So let's say we only need these three key things to be able to have an ice pop out. We will call water, the concentrated juice, and plastic direct costs. They are directly used in the production of this product, which is an ice pop. Okay, so what happens is that we will have costs like water, we can have costs like electricity, we can have costs costs that are not directly involved in the product. Okay, so we can say those costs are externalities because they are not involved in the production of the product directly. So inside externality, as a cause of the market to fail, we have something that is called private costs. So private cost is the cost of producing the goods or service, which translate in the prices that consumers pay, also called internal costs. So for the ice pop, internal cost is water, concentration, and the plastic. And then for private benefit we have private, you have to know that under externalities we have private cost and private benefit. So the cost and the benefit go together, okay, with private and social. So make sure, so the private costs are costs that are directly involved in the pricing of the goods, and then private benefits, it's an internal benefit that occur to those who produce goods and buy these goods. Pricing of a bicycle, so who produce these goods is you as the business, so you have a private benefit in that you will get your profit, and then the person who's also buying these goods have a private benefit that they will be able to enjoy exclusively this product that has been manufactured by you to quench their thirst when they are sweating during a good summer day. Okay, so private costs are costs that are directly involved in pricing the goods or a service, and then private benefits are the benefits that are going to be by producing this product. The benefits that are going to be reaped by the person who produced the product and the person who's buying the product are private benefits. And then the social costs, these are total costs incurred by society as a whole. So this includes people who are not even buying from the business. they are paying social costs. This business is using plastic, right, to package this ice pop. This plastic, what is it going to cost? It's going to cause pollution. Okay, so let's look at this. Social costs, these are the total costs incurred by society as a whole. For example, the social cost of electricity includes the cost of capital, labor, inputs, and the cost of the externalities such as dirty water and air. So social costs equals to private costs plus external costs. Okay, so these costs are incurred by the society as a whole. All right, like that electricity, as they have said here. Okay, and then social benefit, this includes the total benefit experienced by society as a whole. For example, municipalities provide clean water to society, which results in fewer illnesses. So yes, a social benefit is what we all benefit as a society. Well, and this goods that we're able to benefit from as a society are given to us by government. Okay, and then another thing is that negative externalities are things like pollution, tobacco smoking, alcohol abuse. The cost of negative externalities are paid by society rather than the producers. So you must know that with negative externalities, the society pays more than the producers. And then, for example, Stuyvesant produces cigarettes. Many illnesses are related to smoking. So it's a form of negative externality. And then positive externalities are the positive effects of products to third parties which are not paid for. And the negative externalities are often overproduced, while positive externalities are underproduced. And this leads to market failure. So positive externalities are things that the people are able to benefit from by the company operating there. Okay, but so that if that business employs somebody, even if I'm not working there, but because that somebody is employed and I have another business, I can also let's talk about firms. If firms employ a lot of people, retails will benefit. Retails did not employ these people, but do you know why they will benefit? Because the people that works in the firms will come and spend their money on retail goods. You see, so that is what a positive externality to the retail when firms are opened and in full operation. You see, and then plastic containers also give a rise to what? Negative externalities. So this is the first reason for market failure, as there are 6 of them. We'll delve into them, but this was the first ones. And then we have missing markets. Markets are incomplete. That is the second reason for market failure, is missing markets. So markets are incomplete because they cannot meet the demand for certain goods. Like goods that can be given to us by the government. The markets, people who are making profit cannot give us roads. They cannot willingly do a road and we are supposed to pay them. No, the government pays them from the taxpayers' money for them to be able to give us roads. Okay, so they cannot give us water as well. We have to pay a very high price for them to give us water. So those are the missing markets. Everything that the government has to do that private sector cannot do, because they will not be able to make a profit. Okay, so public goods are in high demand but are not supplied by market because of the low profit gain from them and the high cost of capital needed to supply them. So that is why missing markets is that they cannot, or not all businesses cannot do other forms of services. They cannot deliver other forms of services because they are very expensive to deliver and there is no profit. And Businesses are there to make a profit. So since private producers cannot withhold these goods for non-payment, they are reluctant to provide these goods. So the government provides them, because even people who do not have money to pay the government should have access to water. So hence why only the government is able to supply these goods. Okay, and then under public goods, the public goods are non-rivalry and non-excludability. Non-excludability means nobody, everyone is included. You cannot say I'm only in a radio station, I'm only broadcasting this news for certain people. Everybody has a radio and they can access those news, whether you like them or not. You cannot choose who listens or who watches the television. And then non-rivalry is that consumption by one person does not reduce the consumption by another. Me walking on this road does not reduce the consumption of you being able to walk on that road as well. So I can walk on it, you can walk on it, I can come and walk on it, drive on it, and we can all get the same benefit from that. Still under MISI markets, in addition, we have social benefit outstrip private benefit. So healthcare and education. So social benefit, it's more strong than private benefit. Like healthcare and education, a lot of people go to government healthcare facilities and schools, and then there's non-rejectability. So individuals are not able to abstain from consumption, like street lights. Everybody can have the piece of the street light because of public goods. Okay, and then the other thing about public goods is there's continuous consumption. So this is like the characteristics of public goods. And then we're talking about community goods. These are goods such as defense, police service, prison service, street lights, food control, stormwater drainage, and lighthouses. So those ones are community goods. We're talking about the police stations, being able to have clean water or running water. Like when it's raining, the water will be able to go where it's supposed to go and not flood. And then we have collective goods. These are goods such as parks, beach facilities, streets, markets are incomplete and cannot meet the demand for all goods. So government provides public goods, which public goods consist of merit goods and demerit goods. So merit goods, these are highly desirable for general welfare, but not highly rated by the market. Like healthcare, education, and safety, we desire them. Like we mostly cannot live without them. So we need them. But the private sector cannot provide them because of the cost implications, as the public sector can. So, and then we have demerit goods. These are overconsumed goods, like cigarettes, alcohol, drugs. Thus, more of the good is produced than is socially desirable. So, more of the demerit goods are consumed than they are needed. So, the government bends to reduce consumption of these goods through taxation. So, they make sure that people smoke. They find smoking expensive, so they charge taxes on smoking. And then imperfect competition is another cause of market failure. Is the third one. Competition is the market economy. Competition in market economies is limited by the power of certain producers to prevent new businesses from entering the market. This is imperfect competition. So because new people are not able to enter the market in imperfect competition, that can cause market failure. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And then barriers to entry. So the characteristics of imperfect competition are the ones that makes it highly likely that the market should fail. And then lack of information, that's number 4. Consumers, workers, and entrepreneurs do not have the necessary information to make rational decisions. So we do not have enough information or research about a certain industry. So the industry might fail because there is no information available. People in the market keep information to themselves, and so it's not easy for people to access the information and to be able to make a decision whether or not they would like to open a business in this market or not. That is why, again, business fails. When there's no information about that market, no entry would come because there's no information. Like here, competition, they prevent entry in imperfect competition, and then the imperfect markets does not allow for price negotiations. So people will end up just ditching them because like they charge whatever they want. Last, like electricity, people are now finding a solution in solar power because of electricity crisis in South Africa. So people will likely ditch Eskom. Things like that, okay? And then advertising is used to promote producer sovereignty or dominance, which encourages consumers to buy existing products and allows producers to delay new products from entering the market. So you see, that will cause the market to fail. And then the fifth one is immobility of factors of production. So labor takes time to move from one area to another because of infrastructure. Labor is people, remember, and then the supply of skilled workers cannot be increased because of the time it takes to be trained or educated. The time that is taken for people to go to university and acquire certain skill is so long, so it can cause the market to fail, and it's very expensive. And then physical capital like factory buildings or infrastructure such as telephone lines cannot be reallocated easily, so that causes the market to fail. And the structural changes like a change from producing plastic packets to paper packets or shifting from labor-intensive production to computer-based production requires a change in labor skills, employment, and work patterns. So everyone that needs to be involved in the new way of doing things needs to be educated, and that is money. And then imperfect distribution of income and wealth is another cause of market failure. So income distribution in the market system is neutral on issues of income distribution. So income distribution is where, let's talk about the triple BEE, where previously disadvantaged people are now given the opportunity to also participate in the market. That is wealth distribution, okay? So that will say it's a perfect distribution of income. But imperfect distribution of income is the opposite of that. When income is not distributed, where the richer are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, we are not empowering the poor, at least to have like a middle class. Okay? We are not. So we are. It's where there is a huge gap between the rich and the poor. So it's imperfect distribution of income and wealth. And then we are done with the causes of market failure, and now we will learn about the consequences, the aftermath. One is inefficiencies. When the market has failed, there will be a lot of inefficiency. So there are two types of inefficiency. That is product inefficiency and allocation inefficiency. So product inefficiency is when resources are used properly to produce the maximum number of output. So we have a land of 20 hectares, let's say. We are using this full 20 hectares to farm. That is production efficiency. And then allocation efficiency is if we're able to allocate all the resources that we have to be able to use this 20 hectares of land into perfect use to produce. That is allocation. We're able to use our resources best to get to produce at maximum output. Okay, so here you have Pareto optimum. You must know what is Pareto optimum. Is a situation where it is impossible to increase the welfare of one individual without making another worse off. This implies that the welfare of the community is at its maximum. Okay, now look at this table. I would suggest you draw it and let's talk about it. So here it says the production possibility curve AA above shows a combination of goods that can be produced using all the available resources. So this is a production possibility curve that shows the combination of goods that can be produced using all the available resources. Flour and sweet corn simultaneously. Let's say we are producing flour and sweet corn at the same time. So any point on the curve shows a combination of goods where resources will be used efficiently. We are producing corn, we're producing flour. Now, every point shows, any point on the curve shows a combination of goods where resources are used efficiently. So meaning there is allocation of resources is allocated effectively. And then there are any points, and therefore any points on the curve indicates productive or technical efficiency. And then let's look at the indifference curve. I1 shows a combination of two goods which give the consumer the same level of satisfaction. However, if the production takes place at B on the curve, but the demand for goods is actually represented by C, allocation inefficiency will occur where the tastes of consumers are not met. So what we can say is that I1 shows what? A combination of two goods which give the consumer the same level of consumption. So flour and sweet corn can give the same level of consumption. And then, however, if the production takes place at B on the curve, let's look at that is B. If the production takes place at B, the demand for goods is actually represented by C. So we are underproducing at B, but we are producing correctly at C. Okay, and any point to the left of the curve as D indicates that some resources are unused. So at D, it shows that we are not using resources to its full capacity. So wherever we are there, it's bad. So indicates that some resources are unused. If this occurs, some customers may be deprived of goods. And this depicts allocation and production inefficiency. D is production inefficiency. C is production efficiency. Okay, so you must know that. Another externalities, spillover effects. Negative externalities are also consequences of market failure. So negative externalities bear a private cost, the cost of producing the actual product, and a social cost or a social a cost suffered by society. So if the social cost of a good were added to the private costs of a good, the final price would be pushed up and fewer goods would be supplied. So this is depicted in here. So what is shown in here, we are showing that if social costs of a goods were added to private costs, if you say you had private costs and then under private costs you add social costs, the final price would be pushed up. So it will be so expensive if we had to add social costs and private costs to sell a product, and then fewer goods will be supplied. Okay, that's what this graph depicts. So this, you can just draw it and then we can talk about it here. So 8.2 is about negative externalities as consequences of market failure. So the demand for the cigarette is represented by DD. So that's D line is the DD. The supply of the product, which is also the marginal private costs, MPC of the industry, is represented by SS. Yes, so that is MPC, the first S, not S1. And then as a result of the pollution, the marginal cost is greater than the marginal private cost. You see? So as a result of pollution, marginal social costs is greater than marginal private costs. So externalities pushes the marginal social costs to go high. And then if the market is left to its own devices, a quantity Q will be produced at price P. And then social efficiency requires that MSC be equal to the price of the product. But here MSC is so high, it's not equal to the price of the product at P and Q. So this occurs, social efficiency requires that, so this occurs at price 1 and quantity 1. So meaning, according to this graph, social efficiency occurs at price 1 and Q1. And fewer goods should be produced at a higher price. So this shaded angle represents the negative externality. So that is the shaded angle. So the government has used 3 methods to reduce negative externalities. 1, the government has carried out campaigns in order to change or persuade people from causing negative externalities. As I've shown you, it's pollution, and they've used levies as well, and then they've passed laws and regulations to limit those negative externalities. And then this is a graph for positive externalities, and this is the explanation of the graph, that the supply of education, which is also the marginal cost, is represented by SS. And then the demand for social education, which is also the marginal private benefit of the industry, is represented by DT. The cost of the school fees is P. So when you're asked to write an essay and you're asked to do write about the consequences of market failure, you have to include this, draw a graph and explain it. So you should be able to explain what is point B, what is point C, D, B, or whatever. And this is how, using this notes here, you are able to do that. So you must know that the government encourages positive externality. So it's very important that you understand this graph by looking at this notes, in order that you'll be able to explain them. Let's talk about now government intervention. How does the government intervene so that markets do not fail? They intervene by direct controls, where the government can pass a law or use existing legislation. Please like the video. Legislative framework to control businesses that generate negative externalities. And then imperfect markets. Firms in an imperfect market supply a limited quantity of goods and services at a very high price. So the government uses this law on competition to prevent exorbitant prices charged by firms, to ensure entry to the market is free and prevent harmful collusion, and encourage foreign competition, which helps keep prices of goods low. So the government intervenes by rules and regulations, and these are their rules, and they establish minimum wages. So when the government enforces a minimum wage, it means workers have to be paid a certain wage amount and not anything less than that. So it's the first salary scale. You can start here and not less than that. So the figure 8.4 below shows that if the wage rate is set at W, the corresponding demand and supply of labor will be at Q. And then if a minimum wage of W1 is set, the demand for labor will increase from Q to Q1. And then if you must be able to explain this. However, the quantity of labor supplied by will increase from Q to Q2. More people will offer their labor because of their higher wage. So the higher the wage, the more people will be willing to work. That is why the minimum wage is being introduced. And then setting maximum prices and ceiling and price ceilings is that the government set a maximum price ceiling below the market price to make goods more affordable. So maximum price allows the poor greater access to certain goods and services. So that is where the government will introduce. No, this is the product of the price of this product can only go this high and nothing beyond this, so that people can get access to products. So a maximum price is set on goods such as basic food, housing, and transport. And in South Africa, the price of petrol, diesel, and paraffin are controlled at a maximum price. So this is the maximum price. That one that we just looked at, it's the the minimum wage. This is the maximum price graph, and here is what you have to read to be able to understand and explain this graph in an essay type question or in a short question. So because initially the market equilibrium price is P and equilibrium quantity is Q, the government intervenes and passes a law that milk cannot be sold for more than P1. The effect of this maximum price is that quantity supplied decrease to Q1 and quantity demanded increase to Q2. So the price of milk goes down, supply goes down as well. Okay, because it's cheaper. So there is a shortage of milk equal to the difference between Q1 and Q2 is a shortage. And then a shortage creates a problem of how to allocate milk to consumers. And black markets often develop where people cannot obtain milk. Someone will start manufacturing a milk at their back door because now milk cannot be produced more than this price because the government has said so. Okay, it's so windy outside. And then again, setting minimum prices or price floors. So this is where the price can start. So you must be able to know these different graphs, guys. This is a price floor. The price cannot be lower than this of milk. That's what is setting minimum prices. And this is the graph for minimum prices. So you just do minimum prices and then you write everything there and you make sure that you know. You can leave your questions or anything to help each other in the comment section. And then we have taxes and subsidies. Okay, so levying the government will charge businesses taxes and subsidies in order to prevent markets to fail. Okay, so providing producer subsidies again. If you are producing let's say brown bread, the government will subsidize the price of one brown bread so that consumers get one brown bread at a cheaper price. So the government will do what? Will subsidize the production of brown bread, give businesses the price of brown bread, money for brown bread. If brown bread was supposed to be 18 rand, the government pays 5 rand for each loaf of bread, and then we can have 18 minus 5, and then the price of bread will just be 13 rand. That's how much we will pay. And then here we have taxes and subsidies. So this is a graph for the taxes and the subsidies. The market price of so here they use the rice, the subsidized product. If the government subsidizes the production of rice, the market price will decrease to P1 with corresponding quantity 1 will be produced as well. You see? So if products are subsidized, more of those products will be able to be produced. That's what this graph says. And then redistribution of wealth through BEE and other things, making sure that the previously disadvantaged ones also have a share in the market. So they use traditional method, the levying of various taxes, and the provision of free services in kind and cash benefits to the poor, and also implementing readdress methods, the use of law to defense redistribution. It includes BEE, as I've said. So government can use other ways to improve income distribution and overcome market failure. So if there is no redistribution of income, markets will fade because people will not be able to afford what is probably currently being sold in the market. Let's talk about the cost benefit analysis. The cost benefit analysis is that we are building a school. The cost of building a school is 100,000, and we compare it to the benefits of building a school. People will be educated. Those are the benefit, is the positive outcomes that we'll get from building the schools. Okay, so in both private and private sector, project evaluations are done in terms of costs and benefit. So in the private sector, feasibility studies are done, which also provide for legal aspects relating to externality. So when he's doing a feasibility study, we're trying to look if something is feasible. Will it work? Is it going to give profit? Where this thing wants to be done, where people are planning to do this thing, will they be able to do it where they are planning to do it? That is a feasibility study. Okay, in the public sector, cost benefit analysis is done, which takes into account expected social costs and social benefits of providing goods and services. So reasons for cost benefit analysis is that market signals is for market signals to be able to know what is happening. And then price help to allocate resources through demand and supply. And then we have goods supplied by the government, such as roads, bridges, ECT are provided for free. With the absence of market signals, decisions on desirability of a project may be subjective. Every time there has to be a road to be built, guys, there is cost and benefit analysis that takes place. This is how much it will cost and what are the benefits of this road being built. Okay, so the reasons for cost benefit is that we have to know if we'll be able to afford. Okay, so it will help in making decision making if we're really gonna go forward in doing this project. And then the cost benefit analysis example. Imagine the Gauteng project, a railway revenue that connects Hartfields with Tshwane, with Johannesburg, and the OR Tambo International Airport. So it connects Hartfield in Tshwane with Johannesburg and the OR Tambo International Airport. So the private cost would be the cost of land, buying the land, the cost of building, transport costs, labor costs, and overhead costs. And then that is the private costs. The private benefit would be train fare, where people buy. That's what we will benefit. But remember, private benefit is the person who had come with the plan that the Gauteng should be built they'll get profits, and then the people who will pay make use of these facilities will enjoy. So it's a train fare, subsidies from government, and then money from allowing companies to advertise. These are private benefits. And then external costs would be pollution, destruction of plants and animals and insects, resettlement of people whose houses were expropriated for this project to take place. Now they have to be placed somewhere else, increased traffic in certain areas, and blockage of certain driving routes. And then external benefits would be employment and income opportunities for you. So external costs are what will it cost other people for this business to be there. It's an external cost. And an external benefit is what will benefit people from this business being in their area. So that's what we'll do. So this is an activity already with its answers. And thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one.